Good morning or good afternoon. Today we'll be recording a Quizzette on 7th grade 716. Write your last name, comma, first name, today's date, and your class color. Number 1 and number 2 are 1- and 2-step equations, which is a review of what we already tested or quizzed on the week before. So we have x plus 9 equals 18. Remember that the overarching question in algebra is, what is the mystery number? Please write this down. What is the mystery number? So in this case, you could probably think x is going to be 9 because 9 plus 9 is 18, which is perfect. You can just automatically say, okay, x is equal to 9. But I want you to know the steps and how to solve a 1-step and 2-step equations, because if you were to have fractions or decimals or a negative number or a coefficient or something, you're going to need to know the procedure. So you isolate the variable, or you circle the variable. You undo addition or subtraction, and in here I have addition, plus 9. So the opposite of plus 9 is minus 9. And what I do on one side, I do to the other. I get positive 9 minus 9, that's a 0 pair, and you're left with that variable x. 18 minus 9 is 9. So this is how you would find what the mystery number is using the procedure. If you wanted to check your work, I believe I already showed you this, but I just want to reiterate it. The way you would check your work is you would substitute x equals 9 inside of x plus 9 equals 18. So let's put 9 plus 9 equals 18. And when you're questioning something, you put a question mark on top of the equation or the equal sign. 9 plus 9 is 18. 18 does equal 18. Check. That means that it checks out. This is kind of like a proof. An informal proof. You wouldn't call this an official proof. In math, when you write, when you're about to prove something, you put that less than and greater than symbol before and after the word proof. So it's kind of like you give the answer, but then you say, here's why. Number 2. So again, I'm going to isolate my variable, which in this case, it has a negative 3 as a coefficient. I want to get rid of that 4. The opposite of negative 4 is positive 4 or plus 4. What I do on one side, I do to the other. So 11 plus 4 is 15. This is a 0 pair. And now we have negative 3b. I want to isolate my variable. So I have to undo that multiplication of negative 3. And the opposite of multiplying by negative 3 is dividing by negative 3 on both sides. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is just 1 whole, or just b equals, and then negative 3 goes into 15 negative 5 times. So b equals negative 5. Now let's check it. So we could say informal proof. It's not, this isn't an actual official proof. It's just our 7th grade level proof. So we have negative 3 times negative 5 minus 4 equals 11. And remember, we're questioning if our answer is correct. Negative 3 times negative 5 is negative 15 minus 4 equals, sorry, that's positive 15 minus 4 equals 11, question mark. Positive 15 minus 4 is positive 11 equals positive 11. It checks out. So our answer is indeed b equals negative 5. Number 3. It says, find the sum equivalent to negative 5 times the quantity 2g plus 1. Some of you have already accepted the characteristics of the distributive property, but some of you still don't understand that negative 5 has to get distributed to both of these terms. So negative 5 is saying you have negative 5 of these. So you have negative 2g plus 1, 2g plus 1, 5 times. Oops. You don't have to write this. I just want to show you. So if I were to add all those together, I have negative 5. And then I have 2g plus 2g plus 2g plus 2g plus 2g, which is negative 10g, because we have this negative outside of all of them. Or you can just use the distributive property. And you have negative 5 times 2g, which is negative 10g. and then negative 5 times positive 1, which is negative 5. So you have 10g minus 5. Negative 10g minus 5. Now in math, there is a thing called natural log and log. So that looks like negative log minus 5, and that's not what we have. So let's rewrite it as negative 1, 0, and then make the g small, minus 5. The reason I rewrote it is because this is actually something in math. And it's bugging me that it looks like the word log. So negative 10g minus 5. Number 4. Add 3x plus 2 plus 6x plus 1. Simplify your answer. Okay. This is an easy example, and I regret putting it on Monday, number 4. Let's change the example to, instead of plus right here, can you guys put a minus, please? Because that's what makes this question like worthwhile. If I left a plus, it's easy. You just group them and you're done. But if you have a minus there, it changes stuff. So if you have a negative outside of a parentheses, you have to distribute that. I apologize, I forgot to silence my phone. I have to distribute that to each term inside the parentheses. So we have negative 1, technically, times 6x, and negative 1 times 4. So the first expression stays the same, 3x plus 2. Now the next one is negative 1 times 6x is negative 6x. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. So now we can combine like terms. We have a positive 3x and a negative 6x. And then we have a positive 2 and a negative 4. Now you can combine positive 2 and negative 4 to be negative 2. Bless you. And then we have negative 6x and positive 3x. If you combine those, you're left with negative 3x. So your answer is negative 3x minus 2. All right, number 5. Number 5. Oh, number 5. I love solving and graphing inequalities, and I hope you do too. Solving and graphing inequalities is the same almost as solving equations, except if you have a negative in front of the exponent, you're going to end up flipping the inequality. Let me say that again. If you have a negative coefficient on the variable, you're going to end up flipping the inequality. So I've taught this 2 ways. I'm going to teach it to you the first way, and then I'm going to teach it to you the second way. So let's split it up. Leave more room for the first way than the second way. All right. First things first. Let's solve negative x plus 6 is less than or equal to 10. Now remember the overarching question in math. What's the mystery number? So we're going to solve for the mystery number. Right now I'm going to isolate my variable. I'm not even worried about the negative 1 in front of the x. I'm not dealing with it yet. I'm going to undo addition or subtraction. The opposite of plus 6 is negative 6. What I do on one side, you do to the other. Now instead of writing an equal sign, I'm going to write this inequality. Simple. 10 minus 6 is 4. And this is a 0 pair. And then you're left with this negative x. All right. Now, what's the invisible number in front of this x? Negative 1. Now, I cannot have a negative variable. I have to actually divide it. I have to divide it out. I have to have a positive variable. So instead of multiplying by negative 1, I'm going to divide by negative 1. And what I do on one side, I do to the other. So this is the first way I used to teach it. If you're dividing by a negative in the last step, you have to flip the inequality. So flip it. And now you're left with x is greater than or equal to negative 4. So you can actually write the statement, which I want you to write the statement. X is greater than or equal to negative 4. Now the second way I started teaching was look at your inequality. If there's a negative in front of the exponent, switch the inequality. So that you don't forget to flip it at the very last step. The only time you flip it is if you're dividing by a negative or multiplying by a negative in the last step. But I'm telling you that if you see a negative in front of the variable, flip the inequality already. That way you don't have to worry about flipping it later. That's the second way you can do it. All right, now just solve. Minus 6, minus 6. Now you're left with negative x is greater than or equal to 4, divided by negative 1. And then you end up getting x is greater than or equal to negative 4. Same thing. Same thing. It's just a different process. Okay, so I taught you guys that algebra, the main question is, what is the mystery number? When you have an inequality, the question is, what are the mystery numbers? Here it's telling you in this statement, x is greater than or equal to negative 4. So x could be any number greater than or equal to negative 4. So it could be negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it can have infinitely many solutions. Infinitely means like it goes on forever and ever and ever. There is an indefinite amount of numbers that x could be. We just don't know what that mystery number is. We know what it could be. So when you're graphing this, you're trying to show a picture of like what numbers it could be. So we would go to negative 4 and we would put a closed circle. Because we're saying the mystery number can be negative 4 because negative 4 is not greater than negative 4, but it is equal to negative 4. So when it's greater than or equal to, you put a closed circle. If it were just greater than and it didn't have that equal sign on the bottom, you would have to put an open circle like this. So this is for greater than or equal to, and this is just for greater than. Just a little side note. We are going to take notes on this after this Quizzette video. So now I'm telling you the numbers that can fit inside that statement are negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1. So all the numbers to the right can satisfy that statement. But if I plugged in negative 5 into there, my statement would be wrong. So that's why I don't shade the other way. I only shade to the right. Another way you can see this is a little trick one of my old coworkers taught me is make the inequality into an arrow. What direction is the arrow pointing? To the right. So shade to the right. Yeah. So the only thing you really have to worry about is your open circle or closed circle. Good luck on this Quizzette. If you have any questions, please refer to the notes that we're about to take, or you can always ask me. Thank you.